How did a middle-class girl from a small village transform the British monarchy in ways Princess Diana could only have dreamed of? How did Catherine's cancer scare change everything about how the future king and queen approach their roles? And will King William be the making or breaking of the monarchy? Today we're breaking down the most revealing royal book in a decade, with exclusive insights from the royal editor who knows William and Catherine better than almost anyone. This is the story of how a modern partnership is reshaping one of the world's oldest institutions. Introduction to the story. Russell Myers has been the royal editor of the Daily Mirror and the ITV show Lorraine for 7 years. He's broken countless royal stories, and his new book, William and Catherine, The Intimate Inside Story, reveals details we've never heard before about the two most famous people in the world. This is the first time in a decade that their lives have been documented in this depth. And the timing couldn't be more significant. After Catherine's cancer diagnosis, after the Andrew crisis, after years of royal turmoil, we're finally getting answers about how William and Catherine have dealt with these massive challenges. Charles as a father, did he succeed? Let's start at the beginning. Charles was determined to bring his children into a world where they would not suffer the same absence of love and affection that he endured growing up. But did he succeed? According to Myers, it's complicated. Charles will have admitted himself that he made mistakes in the upbringing of his children. He found himself in an incredible situation as a single parent after Diana's death. The relationship between him and Diana was played out not just within palace walls but every day in the global media. But here's what's interesting. William's relationship with his father now is much stronger than people realize. William has gained a much bigger understanding of the pressures Charles was under as a parent after having his own children. We all make mistakes as parents. And Charles was trying to bring up a future king in a normal childhood setting, which is something none of us can really relate to. Diana tried to keep William's life as normal as possible. But it was the Queen Mother who subtly introduced William to his destiny over dinner tables, putting immense pressure on a young child by mapping out his entire life before he even understood what was happening. That's very different from how William and Catherine are raising their own children. There isn't the heir and the spare dynamic anymore. They seem to be a much stronger family unit, which is a huge advantage. The William and Harry bond, can it be repaired? William and Harry shared a visible deep bond as children. William forged protective instincts for his younger brother that he displayed for decades. But have those instincts now gone? The fractiousness of their relationship has been well documented. When you look at the current state of play, it's difficult to see if they can ever get back to how they were. They grew up in an incredibly pressurized environment. The tragic death of their mother brought them closer. But here's what most people don't know. The fractiousness isn't a recent phenomenon. It lasted for years through their adolescence because of how they were treated differently. The Queen Mother and courtiers were preparing William for a very different destiny than Harry. Those subtle cracks were exposed later in their lives. The foundation was laid decades ago, even when they appeared united to the world. Catherine's formative years, Jordan and worldview. Catherine grew up in another world entirely from palace life. She spent 2 years in Jordan where she was taught nursery rhymes in Arabic. That formative experience gave the family an opportunity to really bond because they moved to the Middle East as a small expat community. When they came back, there was still a longing about what life is like outside their small village upbringing. You can see that global view in Catherine today. She's very interested in not only the Commonwealth but also what the royal family represents abroad. That perspective can be charted right back to her earliest years. It's part of why she's become such an effective ambassador for the monarchy on the world stage. The St. Andrew strategy, myth versus reality. There's always been speculation that Catherine's path to becoming future queen was strategic, that she changed her university choice to St. Andrews specifically to be near William. We've seen this played out in The Crown, with Carol Middleton supposedly forcing her daughter to pursue a different direction. But Myers reveals it was Catherine's own decision. In her gap year in Chile, she met another teenager who discussed the possibility of going to St. Andrews. A lot of kids from her school went to Edinburgh, and she wanted a different experience. She'd already had to move schools and was wanting something new. So the pieces moved together naturally. She found herself at St. Andrews and changed the course of history. But it wasn't a calculated move by her mother. First sight, fancy but not fast. What were their early interactions like? It was fancy at first sight, but they were coy about it. William appreciated that Catherine wasn't overawed by him. Imagine being William, Dashing young prince coming into university full of people he didn't know. Rumors about people moving universities specifically to be near him. Stories about young women buying wedding dresses or changing courses to be close to him. But Catherine was different. The relationship wasn't fast. It was based on mutual respect and an understanding that they wanted a new experience from life. Everybody in their friendship group said it was obvious they were going to get together because they only had eyes for each other. They spent time together in the common room, going for runs, swimming in the North Sea. Their early relationship was formed with strong friendship, and you can see that demonstrated in their bond now. The first kiss and the betrayal. There was a light bulb moment. They'd gone to one of the drinking holes at St. Andrews, having a quiet drink together, and William made his move. They had their first kiss and thought maybe this was something more. Catherine had been labelled the fittest girl in their halls, and William was obviously very popular. But very early on, they wanted to protect their relationship at all costs. Their relationship was exposed by a mutual friend at a dinner party playing Never Have I Ever. Someone said I've never kissed two people in the same room, and William had had a very short fleeting relationship with another young woman. Both William and Catherine felt betrayed because they wanted to try and protect what they had. They didn't want outside forces coming in. When reality set in within possibly 6 months to a year, Catherine thought, this is pretty serious now. What does that mean? It's not just any relationship. It's a commitment to saying I will commit myself to this future. Catherine had to give William an ultimatum, saying she needed commitment from him, not necessarily of marriage, but for the relationship to work. When they split up for that very brief moment, it made William think, I'm not the only person who needs to consider this relationship. The Diana echo, protection and panic. When Catherine started to be hounded by the press, we saw similar pictures to when Diana was pursued. Catherine being followed on her way to her normal job at Jigsaw, paparazzi everywhere. Princess Diana's former personal protection officer offered to work for Catherine for free. For William, this was bad déjà vu. He'd seen what happened to his mother. Very early on, William brought Catherine to a meeting with his father's communications secretary at Clarence House. This wasn't the done thing, bringing someone from the outside into palace operations. But it tells you how William felt. This is somebody I care about, somebody I want to protect as much as possible. Clarence House acted on an unofficial basis to look after Catherine, giving her advice on dealing with external pressure. Those images of Diana being pursued and Catherine being pursued in the street, flashes going off as she tried to pull away in her Volkswagen, they are distressing. There was a flashpoint in the early parts of their relationship, and it affected Catherine to the point of questioning, do I really want to get involved in this? The Queen's intervention. The late Queen thought Catherine would be a perfect ambassador for the royal family. She admired Catherine's tenacity, her strength, and she totally identified the love they both had for each other. When William and Catherine split up, the Queen invited William to lunch at Buckingham Palace and sat him down. She gave him confidence to follow his heart by saying, if you have doubts, that's fair enough, but you've got to think of something beyond your own thoughts in this very pressurized institution. You need a good partner. The Queen also advised Catherine about headstrong husbands, which tells you a lot about her own relationship with Prince Philip. Both William and Catherine needed grounding, a sounding board, someone to tell them how it is. That's exactly what they have in each other. Who wears the trousers? There's a common misconception about the hierarchy. Many people assume William's the one who wears the trousers. But Catherine has evolved into someone who is not only central to the family but central to how they view their public role. If you get the family right, create a strong and stable environment for your children at home, then you have a much better chance of succeeding overall. Catherine is such a central figure within the monarchy. William relies on her emotionally and spiritually. This became even more apparent during her cancer treatment. They came through it together. Catherine has become the strong and centered grounded one, while William has had a lot going on in his mind. That tells you an awful lot about their partnership. Sarah Ferguson not invited to the wedding. Sarah Ferguson wasn't invited to William and Catherine's wedding. In hindsight, was that a good decision? Look at what's just happened in recent times with Andrew. William was the one who said after Andrew's disastrous Newsnight interview, we've got to have him out of the picture. He has to be banished from not only public life but from family involvement. He's got himself into this mess regardless of denying allegations. William and Catherine always found Sarah Ferguson a damaging force around the institution. They wanted to affect change, to have impact and scale in their work. But it's more than buzzwords. It's about how you view the future of the monarchy. They have to protect their family's future. They want to control how they are perceived and how the monarchy is perceived. Sarah Ferguson didn't fit that vision. The Andrew crisis. A stain on the family. William's view on Andrew was very clear and centered. Andrew is undoubtedly a stain on the family. These allegations are so damaging and sordid. They should be investigated by the correct authorities. This is 6 years after his Newsnight interview. We've seen a cascade of allegations, which Andrew has denied. But beyond the allegations, look at Andrew's personality. It's light years away from how William and Catherine run their office, how they treat their staff with respect. It had no place within their view of how the institution should be run. This crisis does threaten to define William's monarchy going forward, which is tragic given William's pure intentions for modernization and his focus on doing more for fewer charities and having his actions speak. January 2024. Catherine's cancer diagnosis. In January 2024, we had the shock announcement of Catherine's cancer diagnosis. There was a difference between the king's openness about his condition and the strict privacy around Catherine. Most people would have thought Catherine, being of the younger generation, would be more open. But their approaches were flipped from expectation. The umbrella term cancer is useful for the royal family because we don't know what specific cancer either has been treated for. We all know unfortunately somebody in our families who will be treated for this awful disease. The king felt confident and laid the groundwork for Catherine to come out and deliver that public statement. What really shocked people was when Catherine spoke about having to contemplate telling their 3 children. Everyone saw a young woman at 42 years old with a public role facing this diagnosis. William and Catherine were centered on that moment. Not only was it disorienting for William with his father and wife both dealing with health crises, but Catherine was the strong and centered one. William was the one with a lot going on in his mind. They sat down with their children and worked it out together. September 2024. Cancer-free and reshaped. In September 2024, Catherine announced she was cancer-free. But that period reshaped her and her role moving forward. It had a profound effect not only on Catherine but on the family, her role as future queen, and as a public figure. She immediately decided to take herself out of royal duties. There was absolutely no pressure for her to be front and center. William also took a leave of absence. We've seen Catherine's Mother Nature series talking about grounding yourself in nature, slowing down. How often are we all rushing around, missing the things in front of us? Our children growing up, being on your phone. Catherine immersed herself in forest bathing, being outside in nature, slowing her senses down. That's given her a much deeper appreciation of her role, her sense of being, her own mortality, but also what she wants to achieve. Because your life can change in an instant. The Middleton influenced Catherine's family. The Middletons have helped bring a more grounded perspective to royal life. The in-laws and grandparents have been hands-on with future King George. The Middletons have been such a force for William as well. They gave him the opportunity to see life outside the institution, a normal family centered on friendship, respect, being able to talk about emotions and feelings. Carol Middleton would get William up to carve the turkey or peel the potatoes. These are things he didn't know how to do. It's very funny when they were filming Catherine in hospital and she teased him about not cooking for the children. The Middletons have given William a totally different perspective, and we see that in how they are bringing up their own children. Diana was still of the aristocratic set. She had certain appreciation for what the royal family meant in society. It's very different now. Catherine has had a huge effect and will continue to have an effect, especially given what she's gone through the last few years. In that sense, Catherine has changed the monarchy more than Diana was able to, more than she could have dreamed of. The Caribbean tour and the Cambridge Way. The Cambridge Way was formulated in the wake of the Caribbean tour in 2022. We all saw the criticism played out in global media. Shaking hands with children through a wire fence. Riding around in an open-top Land Rover. It looked like an episode of The Crown. William and Catherine didn't want to do that. They'd taken advice from on the ground, from the host country. It didn't work out. In the aftermath, they felt strongly, we've got to trust our gut instinct. Going to the Caribbean, a place experiencing rapid change with countries talking about their own future, both the King and William have said we're not here to stand in anybody's way. We want to be partners rather than rulers. The Cambridge way is, if we have something to say, we're going to say it. If we don't believe things align with our values, we're going to speak up. We've seen that in the statement about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. William and Catherine have much more confidence in their own voice. The future, King William's reign when change comes, we may not see coronations like the late Queen's or even King Charles's. We may not see William travel the Commonwealth as much as his father did, but they will always be centered on values they hold dear. The relationship between William and his father is stronger than it's ever been. There's mutual respect and understanding for what Charles went through in William's early childhood and adolescence. There's a real grounding of what this job takes. But there's also a reflective moment for William. You can take things from the past and pay respect to traditions, but you also have to be forward-thinking. You have to be accountable. There needs to be greater transparency. What does the younger generation care about? We've seen William taking part in documentaries, crying, being interviewed, bearing his soul, talking about his own mental health issues. These are really important. Young people and the next generation find that incredibly endearing. If you get that right, you've got a fantastic chance of not only affecting positive change but being a real positive ambassador for the future. From a middle-class girl in a small village to the woman reshaping the British monarchy. From meeting at St. Andrews to becoming partners in one of the world's most scrutinized institutions. From cancer diagnosis to emerging with renewed purpose and clarity about what matters. This is the story of William and Catherine, told with unprecedented access and insight. Their partnership is built on friendship, mutual respect, and shared values. They've learned from the mistakes of previous generations. They've protected their children from the pressures William faced growing up. They've modernized while respecting tradition. They've been transparent about struggles while maintaining dignity. And they've shown that a modern royal couple can be both human and effective. The Cambridge way isn't just about protocol changes or media strategy. It's about two people who decided they would do this on their terms, with their values, building the monarchy they want to pass to their children. And after everything they've been through, the splits, the media pressure, the family crises, the cancer diagnosis, they've emerged stronger and more united than ever. This is how Catherine changed the monarchy in ways Diana could only have dreamed of. This is how William is preparing to be the king Britain needs. And this is how a modern partnership is securing the future of one of the world's oldest institutions.